Welcome to Global Hypnotherapy, the podcast that helps you understand your mind, change what keeps you stuck, and move forward with greater calm, confidence, and control. Have you ever caught yourself asking, why do I keep doing this? Why do I react like that? Why can't I just let it go? You've promised yourself that this time you'll stay calm. This time you won't lose your temper. This time you won't overthink. This time you won't reach for another drink, another cigarette, another reassurance, another excuse. And yet, somehow you find yourself back in the same place. Now, if that sounds familiar, then today's episode is for you, because after more than 30 years working with people from every walk of life, I've become convinced of something. Most people are not fighting themselves. They're fighting a part of themselves they simply don't yet understand. And one of the biggest mistakes we make is believing that our behaviour defines who we are. I must be weak, I must be lazy, I must be broken. But what if none of that were true? What if your behaviour actually made perfect sense? Once you understood why your brain learned it in the first place. Now that's a very different conversation, and it's one that changes everything. Your brain has one primary job: to keep you alive. It doesn't wake up every morning asking, well now how can I help Aidan's listeners become happier today? It asks something much simpler. How do I keep this person safe? Sometimes it gets that exactly right, sometimes. It keeps using an old survival strategy long after the danger has passed. That's why someone who's no longer in danger can still feel anxious. Someone who is no longer rejected can still feel rejection. And someone who's medically healthy can still experience genuine physical symptoms driven by a nervous system that hasn't realized the emergency is over. The brain isn't stupid. It's being loyal to information it learned years ago. Now imagine driving your car and seeing a warning light appear on the dashboard. You have two choices. You can cover it with black tape, or you can ask, what's this trying to tell me? Our emotions work much the same way: anxiety, frustration, shame, fear. Even many unwanted habits. They're often signals, not enemies. The problem isn't that we experience them. The problem is that we misunderstand them. And the one question that has changed thousands of conversations, instead of asking, what's wrong with me, ask, what happened that taught my brain this was necessary? Notice the difference. One question creates shame, the other creates understanding. And understanding opens the door to change. You're not your reactions. One of the greatest moments in therapy is when someone suddenly says, oh, now I understand why I've been doing that all these years. It's like watching a heavyweight fall from their shoulders. Because once you understand, you stop blaming yourself. And once you stop blaming yourself, your brain becomes far more willing to learn something new. And why this matters. Whether you're struggling with stress, IBS, overthinking, unwanted habits, emotional triggers, or simply feeling stuck, real progress doesn't usually come from fighting harder. It comes from seeing more clearly. Understanding isn't the finish line, but it's very often the doorway through which lasting change begins. And I know we may have covered this umpteen times, but I think it's important. So today I'd like to leave you with one simple thought. The next time you find yourself reacting in a way that you don't like, pause for a moment Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" try asking, "What is my brain trying to protect me from?" You may discover that the part of you you've been criticizing for years has actually been trying to help you all along. It simply hasn't realized that life has changed, and perhaps neither have you. Now, thank you for joining me on this episode of Global Hypnotherapy with Aidan Noon. So, if today's episode resonated with you, I'd be delighted if you subscribed and shared it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, just remember this. The more deeply you understand yourself, the more freedom you have to become the person you were always capable of being. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye for now.